Hitachi Energy is proud to partner with the Foreign Desk on Monocle Radio. Powering Purpose is a new book resulting from the partnership between Hitachi Energy and Monocle. It tells the story of the people and the technology leading the energy transition and ushering in a sustainable and secure future. Hitachi Energy and Monocle work together to provide inspiration on powering people's lives and where to find the energy for change in the era of electrification. Secure your copy now at monocle.com or in store in Monocle outlets around the world. And if you want to understand the role you can play in harnessing connections to ensure a brighter, more sustainable and secure future, head to hitachienergy.com. Hitachi Energy and Monocle, inspiring the energy for change.
The balloon seems an almost proverbially benign mode of transportation, powered by hot air, directed by the wind, often gaily decorated, transporting its passengers in whimsical wicker baskets, perhaps adorned with flowers, and so forth. It turns out, however, and if you shortly sense the composer of an explainer attempting to justify the morning he has spent down various research rabbit holes, well done, that the balloon has quite a history as an instrument of belligerence, vastly predating the more storied heritage of fixed-wing military aircraft. The balloon first went to war back in 1794 at the Battle of Belarus, when a Captain Jean-Marie Joseph Coutel of the nascent French Aerostatic Corps went aloft in a balloon named l'Entrepreneur to observe the positions of the Republic's Austro-Dutch antagonists. The endeavour was a more or less total waste of everyone's time. Jean de Dussault, later a general and marshal of empire, at Belarus a colonel, later harumphed in his memoirs that the balloon had proved itself to be
a ridiculous innovation that would not even deserve to be mentioned if it hadn't been made out to be something important. The truth is, this balloon was just plain embarrassing.
Nevertheless, balloons have been deployed in many conflicts since, as observation platforms, air defense barrages, decoys, and general nuisances. North and South Korea have exchanged passive-aggressive balloon offensives, South Korea and/or South Koreans acting on their own initiative, using balloons to litter the North with leaflets and goods promoting the superiority of democracy and capitalism, etc., North Korea, having few seductive arguments to make about the joys of paranoid tyranny, responding with bags of garbage. In early 2023, Russia floated reflector balloons over Kyiv, apparently with the intent of foxing Ukrainian radar. Which brings us, more or less, to the present-day balloon war being waged against Lithuania certainly, by Belarus probably. For some weeks, Lithuania has been beleaguered by balloons, like properly big balloons, not like the ones you'd inflate for a kid's birthday or anything, drifting into its airspace from neighbouring Belarus. This slow, silent assault has had dramatic consequences. The airports of Vilnius and Kaunas have been repeatedly forced to suspend operations, stranding, delaying and irritating the bejeebers out of tens of thousands of passengers and incurring millions of euros in associated costs. Airlines have cancelled flights and altered schedules. Finnair, for one, has withdrawn its evening service from Helsinki to Vilnius. Lithuania has declared a state of emergency and offered a €1 million reward to anyone who can furnish an effective means of dealing with the marauding dirigibles. Before any listeners get too carried away with their applications, they're probably looking for something a bit more sophisticated than an enthusiast with a bow and arrow. Such balloons as have made landfall in Lithuania have been found to be bearing boxes of cigarettes. However, in Lithuania at least, there does not seem to be much time for the idea that the perpetrators are honest-to-goodness Belarusian tobacco smugglers who have lit upon a somewhat haphazard means of delivery. Lithuanian authorities believe that the cigarettes are merely props which enable the real culprit, i.e. the Belarusian regime of President Alexander Lukashenko, to deny responsibility. Which brings us to the question of why Belarus would do this, and the answer, why would it not? Belarus is also a neighbour of Russia, mostly at least sort of an ally of Russia, and shares with Russia an approach to foreign policy which is often the geostrategic equivalent of knocking on doors and then running away. Recall that in 2021, Belarus encouraged thousands of people to fly in from Iraq and Syria and then directed them towards Belarus's borders with Lithuania and Poland, and therefore the European Union, literally creating a refugee crisis. In that light, the balloons can reasonably be assessed weapons of hybrid warfare. Hybrid warfare is the term coined by Pentagon analyst and former U.S. Marine Corps officer Lieutenant Colonel Frank Hoffman to describe hostile actions which aren't quite the traditional military sort, are perhaps more disruptive than destructive, but also nevertheless debilitating. Cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, economic coercion, pestilential legal actions, the hiring of petty criminals to perpetrate petty crimes, and so forth. These all have the advantage of being deniable and asymmetric, in that endeavours to defeat them are often any or all of futile, expensive and vaguely humiliating.
We know that it's a surveillance balloon. We do know that the balloon has violated U.S. airspace and international law, which is unacceptable. And so we've conveyed this directly to the PRC at multiple levels.
You may remember the global guffaws that attended in 2023, the US Air Force's pursuit of a rogue Chinese spy balloon that bumbled across America for a week before being dropped into the waters off South Carolina by a Sidewinder missile launched from an F-22 Raptor. One has to hope the pilot was not sufficiently shameless as to paint a silhouette of their victim on the fuselage. While there is a NATO air policing mission stationed at Lithuania's Cholet Air Base, it is currently a detachment of 11 Spanish F-18 Super Hornets. Scrambling fighters to blaze away at balloons bearing bootleg gaspers would be costly, absurd, and liable to cause more problems than it solves. As of this recording, the offensive may be nearing an end. Earlier this week, Lithuanian authorities arrested 21 people, pending charges not only of smuggling, but, significantly, assisting another state in actions against Lithuania. According to US Special Envoy John Cole, who has recently negotiated with Belarus the release of 123 political prisoners, President Lukashenko has promised to stop the balloon flights, which, interestingly, implies his ability to do so, and, obviously, to start doing it again. For Monocle Radio, I'm Andrew Mueller.